Flames and smoke filled the night sky over Claremont as a raging fire destroyed several apartments early this morning.
The two-alarm blaze started shortly after midnight and sent dozens of residents scrambling for safety. News 8's Angelique Lizardi joins us live along Caminito Aguilar with this breaking news alert and the amazing story of survival for one family. Good morning, Angelique.
Well, good morning, ladies. Well, things are still coming together, going back to normal here at this apartment complex, which happened just behind me. It's not here where you're seeing. It's actually on the other side of this building where things are gradually trying to get back to normal as far as cleaning up the mess that happened last night. And we have at least dozens of people who are displaced this morning, and 4 people are in the hospital at this point who basically suffered from smoke inhalation. Now, again, this all took place just a little before midnight here at this apartment complex on Caminito Aguilar, where a heavy fire on both levels, the second and first floor, where about 14 apartments were in that whole unit. There were about 3 fully engulfed units that were just up in flames, and just one other unit basically just had some smoke damage. The entire building was evacuated at the very beginning, and actually one police officer, who was one of the first to arrive on scene, was able to rescue a mother and her 2 daughters from the fire.
While I was in the back of the apartments evacuating, I helped 2 little girls, 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, and then their mother evacuate from the second story. I had them jump out the window because they were banging on the window.
Now, most of those people were able to go back into their homes, but for those who have been displaced this morning, they are getting help from the American Red Cross. And as far as the cause of the fire goes, that is still currently under investigation. We're live here in Claremont. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Our top story at 11, 10 people are homeless today after a massive 2-alarm fire destroys a Claremont apartment complex.
This happened just after midnight at the Stratton Apartments. Residents are now starting to survey the damage. Our Angelique Lizardi has been following the story throughout the morning. She joins us now live with more on how they're coping. Angelique?
Well, Nichelle, I just spoke to the San Diego Fire Department probably about an hour ago, and they updated me as far as the investigation goes. They still do not have the cause of the fire just yet, but we spoke to residents here at this apartment complex who are still very shaken up over what happened. We actually spoke to one woman who is displaced this morning, and she tells me she just doesn't know what she's going to do.
I was starting to call 911, and he was like, no, get out of the house, and I had to jump over my brick wall.
Longtime resident Danielle Dolphin says everything she owned was lost in this fire that broke out last night close to midnight here at this apartment complex on Caminito Aguilar. Fire officials say 3 units were engulfed in the flames, and residents like Trevor Van Boxtel were evacuated from the building immediately.
What actually woke me up was them breaking down the fence. Like, I didn't hear anything. And that was the scary part. Like, what if it did spread to my apartments? I wouldn't have known about it until I heard them breaking down the fence or someone knocking on my door.
As fire crews battled the flames, it was a San Diego police officer who was one of the first people to arrive on scene, who managed to rescue a mother and her 2 daughters from the fire.
While I was in the back of the apartments evacuating, I helped 2 little girls, 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, and then their mother evacuate from the second story. I had them jump out the window because they were banging on the window.
Danielle says 7 years of her memories have been destroyed and doesn't know what she will do, but is just relieved to know that no one was hurt.
And now everything is gone, like all our stuff, all our clothes, all my business stuff. Like, I have a big DJ system, and it's all gone because it's all asbestos on there, I guess. And I don't know what I'm going to do.
Now, Danielle also told me that she's even more distraught because she did not have renter's insurance, so that just adds to more problems for her. Now, we do know that nobody was injured as far as people go, but when it comes to animals, pets that these people had, some unfortunately did not make it. Now, the estimated damage from this fire is about $900,000. We're live in Claremont. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Well, a San Diego police officer says he is no hero. Instinct just kicked in when he made an amazing rescue during a fire. 10 News reporter Dana Rice has been on top of the story since 4:30 this morning and joins us live with why you may disagree with that officer's version of the story. Dana?
That's right. Thanks to this officer, these two teenage girls and their mother are all expected to be okay today. Apartment managers here asked us to stay a far distance from the damage. We can show you it is right down this hall behind us, but we do also want to show you a second-story window here. There's one right up there. That's the same height as the one that this family jumped from into the officer's arms. Smoke poured out of the windows. Flames were shooting out of the roof. San Diego police officer Zach Bradley was one of the first to arrive at the Stratton Apartments. He saw two girls and their mother banging on a second-story window and told them he would catch them. Listen as the officer tells dispatchers about the rescue.
By myself, the apartment directly to the left on the top floor, they jumped out and I caught them as they jumped. I think the rest of them are evacuated, but they're filling the smoke fast.
The three women went to the hospital for smoke inhalation but are expected to be okay. Firefighters say this fire was an accident. A renter told investigators she was cooking when a grease fire started on her stove and got out of control. A neighbor tried to help.
I just ran upstairs and knocked on the people's doors upstairs, tried to get them out.
Getting everyone out was the only thing on Officer Bradley's mind. He says he was just doing what he's trained to do.
Yeah, it's just a matter of safety. Got to help the people out. That's our main goal, function.
And back out here live, we can show you some of the damage off in the distance behind us from this fire. Investigators are telling us more than $1 million in damage. The renter who lives in the apartment where the fire started did have to go to the hospital also to be treated for some burns, but today she is expected to be okay. Reporting live in Claremont, Dana Rice, 10 News.
I'm by myself. The apartment directly to the left on the top floor, they jumped out and I caught them as they jumped. I think the rest of them are evacuated, but they're filling the smoke fast.
Tonight, less than 2 days after he helped save a family from a raging inferno at a Claremont apartment complex, a San Diego police officer is recalling the unforgettable night on the job. Good evening. That fire broke out just after midnight early Tuesday morning in the Stratton Apartments on Camino Aguilar. Officer Zach Bradley was one of the first responders on the scene, and the family was trapped. News 8's Richard Allen is live tonight with Officer Bradley's first-hand account. Richard?
And Barbara Lee, this all started as a grease fire that quickly spread out of control, ultimately damaging 4 units and forcing all residents in all 16 units to evacuate. And that's where Officer Zach Bradley comes in, helping 2 teenage girls and their mother who were trapped on the 2nd floor of their apartment escape to safety.
I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Arriving on the scene of this raging Claremont apartment building fire early Tuesday morning, San Diego police officer Zach Bradley says his #1 priority was making sure all residents got out safely.
I was just trying to do my part. We all had to help the evacuations. That's what we do.
Jumping a fence to get to the back of this building on Caminito Aguilar, the 27-year-old spied a family, 2 teenage girls and their mother on the 2nd floor of their apartment, banging on the windows for help.
I motioned for the 16-year-old to open the window, and when she did, I told her to punch out the screen and get her family and come on out.
Bradley caught the girls in his arms as they jumped out and also assisted the mother, all who managed to make it to safety.
Officer Bradley deserves a lot of credit and I believe saved their lives.
Captain Sean Murphy says the fire spread quickly, virtually eliminating the front of the apartment building as a possible exit.
If they had tried to go out the front, and they may have, I'm not sure, they would have been greeted by a wall of flame, and they surely would have at least had part of their skin burned.
The fire engulfed 4 of the units. Firefighters quickly put out the flames in under 16 minutes' time.
That did an excellent job extending the hose lines and extinguishing this fire.
As for Officer Bradley, he modestly says he was only doing his job.
It's what we're trying to do. We're there to evacuate, and there was no other way to evacuate at that moment in time.
And aside from some smoke inhalation and some minor burns, thankfully there were no serious injuries caused by this fire. But firefighters point out that there are some valuable lessons we can all learn from this, including planning out a second emergency exit in your home in case fire blocks your primary exit. And also in this case, the family's smoke detector wasn't working. It's a good reminder to all of us to check the batteries in your smoke detector and make sure it's functioning properly.
Just 90 minutes ago, the San Diego police officer who jumped a fence to save a mother and her 2 daughters from a burning building spoke about the rescue to 10 News.
Good evening, I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Like most heroes, Officer Zachary Bradley was humble. But 10 News reporter Vanessa Hefty got the real story of what happened and learned just how close the family came to losing their lives. Vanessa.
Yeah, Steve, in fact, they only had a matter of minutes. We talked with Officer Bradley here tonight at the PD. He was very humble. In fact, he didn't want to take any credit for this. But firefighters say that he found that family in the nick of time. If he hadn't scaled the fence and found them when he did, it would be an entirely different story. This is what Officer Zach Bradley saw at the Stratton Apartments in Claremont, a blazing inferno. And in its path, the Atkins sisters and their mom.
I looked up and I motioned for the 16-year-old to open the window, and when she did, I told her to punch out the screen and get her family and come on out.
Younger sister Lucy was in tears as she told us about being unable to sleep.
I'm just kind of so scared of, like, if it'll happen again.
Older sister Gabrielle was grateful that Officer Bradley broke their falls, but it was his initial act that struck a chord with her.
I just want to say thank you for breaking our fall. Thank you for climbing over that fence and finding us.
I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
But firefighters say it was much more than that. Bradley jumped this fence and coached the family to jump into his arms. It was the only way out, and they had only minutes.
There's definitely enough smoke in there from what I saw that it was getting to the point they were within a few minutes of being overcome by smoke. So it was, I think, very imperative to get them out of there quickly. Officer Bradley deserves a lot of credit and I believe saved their lives.
And this was determined to be a grease fire. It started in a downstairs apartment. Firefighters say that it appears that none of the smoke detectors were working. We're live at University City. Vanessa Hefty, 10 News.
Well, just days after he helped save a family from a raging apartment fire in Claremont, a heroic San Diego police officer is apparently at it once again, this time pulling a suspected drunk driver out of her wrecked vehicle. Officer Zach Bradley spotted this scene in Claremont after an SUV flipped over and hit a natural gas meter on the side of an apartment building. It happened just hours after Bradley wrapped up a press conference last night where he spoke about rescuing a woman and her 2 daughters as they jumped from a second-story building engulfed in flames. Officer Bradley says he was just doing his job.
I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I motioned for the 16-year-old to open the window, and when she did, I told her to punch out the screen and get her family and come on out.
Officials say if it weren't for Bradley's quick action, the family could have been seriously hurt.